Okay, so when I had finished the last video, we are actually on part 26. Let me just go back to that. And I had just made the update text function and up here, and I had called it in both my next button and my last button event handlers. Among other things, I kind of stopped the video there because I did something else later and I wanted to redo it. But basically when I run this, it is working well. And actually, let me just delete this. The first time I ran this, from what I had showed you, it still said my favorite things. It said 0 out of 0. And what I realized was I needed to also call the update text function before anything happened or outside the event handlers. So I put that in here. And I'll reset and run. And now I see it starting off where it should be. So we've done what we needed to. We removed repeated code and we got the last button working. So now we're going to go over to 27. Okay, we'll run just to kind of review what it does so far. Okay, so we can do a next button. We can do a last button. Remember when it goes outside of the bounds. Okay, if I went down to 0, it would cause an error, but that's something we'll work on later. For 27, we're going to set up something so that we can add new items to our list. So it says add an event handler to the add button. So I'm going to copy my last event handler, which is probably what you'll want to end up doing just to make it faster when you add new ones. So if I looked at my choices, this is the add button. Do not want it to do the same thing. Basically, we want to insert the item or use this insert item at whatever index the list is currently on. So right now, if I type something, I'm at index 1, so it would take the place of pizza and kind of bump everything over. If I was at the next one, it would insert it at index, actually, sorry about that. It'll put it in place 1, index 0 right now. If I move over to index 1, I guess you could call it place 2, it would put it there. So the thing we want to insert, when we do insert item, and remember, if you're not sure what the syntax is, you can go back over here and look. So we want the list name, the index value where we want to insert it, and how we want to get or what item we want to insert. So my list name is favorite. I want to insert it at whatever index the variable index is on. So I'm just going to type the word index there versus a 0, 1, 2, or 3. And then lastly, we're going to use, if we look in our UI controls, we want to get the text from this entry spot here. So I'm going to use get text. And where do I want to get it from? I called it new input. So I'm going to click on that. Now, right now, if I put something in, I wouldn't necessarily see it because I haven't run update text. So I need to show what I put in. So we're going to put that down here and let's run the app now. So first off, we'll just run. I'm going to move over one to the second spot, index 1, place 2. I'll type in purple here and click add. So now I see this word purple. I notice now I have 4 things in my list. This one is the second thing at index 1. So pizza, purple, basketball, and friends. We can do that. We ran our program. We confirmed we can add. We can't go forward, but let's just see if we can add something else. I don't know, sunshine. Okay, so that went in the last index. Okay, so basically it kind of bumped everything over to the side. So let's look at the last lesson. 28. Here it says if statements and staying in bounds. Currently, the user can increase or decrease the value in the global index past the bounds of your array. As a result, you've probably already seen that errors are generated. To prevent this from happening, we're going to add if statements to the event handlers of the next and last buttons. They should check the value of the global index before changing it. If the user is about to step out of bounds of your array, they should either block, do not change the index, or wrap. And I'm actually going to show the wrap option because I think that's more interesting. So we're going to come down here to our next button. And I'm going to add an if statement. Remember our clause, or if our statement goes in here. So when I'm going to next, okay, I want to say if the index equals the length of the list minus 1. So if I'm on that last index, which is 1 smaller than the length of the list, so I'm going to do favorite dot length minus 1. And I just want to check and make sure I have that right. Let's just make sure. Yep, list dot length. So remember, you can always come back over here and check. So favorite dot length minus 1. Then I'm actually going to set my index. If I'm on the end of the list, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the list. Now, when I typed this equals 0, I realized that I really need 2 equal signs up here, right? Because this is checking to see if it's equal. So we're going to set our index back to 0. Okay. So else, if that's not true, if we're somewhere in the middle of our list, then I am going to increase that index. So I'm just going to tap this in. Okay. And no matter what, I want to update the text. Okay, so if I wrapped around or if I kept moving in the same direction, I want to update the text. So let's just check that and see how it works. And then we'll move on to our other one. So I have an error. Let's look at line 24. Is probably something I just typed. Oh, Python. I wanted to put a colon in there even though I don't need one. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go next, next. Now here's where we want to check it, right? So look, right now I went back to 1. So it goes in a circle through my items. So because this is so similar, I'm going to just copy all of this over to my last button. So now if I'm on the other end, I'm going last to the beginning of my list. I want to say if index equals 0, okay, then we're going to wrap it to the other side. Then we're going to make index equal favorite dot length minus 1. Okay. Now, if that's not true, remember we're using the last button, so we want to just change that back to minus minus. So let's reset and run. Okay, so I'm going to pause because I did something wrong and I just need to figure out where I did it. But to be honest, I don't know what was wrong because as soon as I did this, it went back to the way it should work. So I'm going to press run, probably because I didn't press run. Nice. So my next button takes it back to the beginning. My last button takes it back to the end. So now I'm looping the way I want to, okay? So that's the end of this lesson. The next part kind of gets into images, but I don't think it will be harder. It just shows you the option of using pictures versus putting these words in the list.